Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
We bring you the news.
And the views that make you think.
Sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
Former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque denies allegations that he holds multiple passports, calling the claims fake news.
President Bongbong Marcos dismisses calls for his resignation, saying he won't evade challenges.
More traffic violations have been recorded through the No Contact Apprehension Policy, or NCAP.
HIV cases in the country continue to rise, including one involving a 7-year-old child.
First in the news, did Harry Roque use multiple passports to evade authorities? That's what the Justice Department is now investigating. Here's the report.
The Justice Department is now investigating information that Harry Roque has 2 or 3 passports under his name. According to DOJ Secretary Boying Rimulya, they learned this as they are processing the cancellation of Roque's passport at the Angeles City Regional Trial Court. The same court issued the arrest warrant against the former presidential spokesperson, Lucky South 99 associate Cassandra Ong, and 49 others on qualified human trafficking charges. Rimulya said it is possible that Roque just tweak details in his name like middle initial or spelling. This was why Roque was not flagged in the airport despite the lookout bulletin order against him. On top of this, the DOJ is also investigating if Roque has a foreign passport.
Papahukay namin yan, papahalukay namin yan. Kasi hindi dapat ginagawa yan. So we are petitioning for the cancellation of his passport or passports. Kasi nga, fugitive from the law na siya. Nag-apply siya ng asylum, pero ang paningin namin, hindi angkop ang asylum sapagkat ang human trafficking ay isang kasalanan na alam ng Europa na against our interest.
But in an interview with 1PH sa Totoo Lang, Roque dismissed Remula's statements as fake news, saying he is using one regular passport.
So wala pong katuturan, walang katotohanan yung sinasabi nilang multiple passports, guni-guni lang po nila yan. No? What they could have done was to verify with the DFA kung itong passport na ito na may butas na is still valid, kasi alam naman natin na although ang validity is until 2029, ayan po, butas na. Kasi nga po, nakagana ng bagong passport.
Meanwhile, Major General Nicolas Torre III said CIDG's request with Interpol for a red notice against Roque is under evaluation.
We are very confident naman dahil sa mga ganyan, kasi napakasimpleng process lang yan. Because there's no question naman na meron ng valid warrant from a Philippine court at ang kaso ito ay kaso rin naman sa iba-ibang mga bansa. Hindi siya pinipersecute ng bansa natin, kundi siya ay hinahabol sa kanyang mga ginawa na may mga complainant.
The Philippine Statistics Authority and National Bureau of Investigation have been asked to verify whether the signatures appearing in disbursement documents for Vice President Sara Duterte's confidential funds truly belong to Representative-elect Chel Jokno and actress Marian Rivera. Lanao del Sur Representative Zia Alonto Adyong said the move follows viral reports suggesting the 2 public figures were listed as recipients of intelligence fund payments. He stressed the importance of a forensic review to confirm whether the signatures came from the same individuals or were forged. While Adyong acknowledged that the names like Marian Rivera could be common, he found the appearance of Chel Jokno on the documents suspicious. Yan. So, kumakalat sa social media mga pictures ni Marian Rivera at saka ni Congressman-elect Chel Jokno. Dahil nga, isa daw to dun sa mga nakitang ibang mga names dun sa the use of confidential
pero alam
funds
naman
of the Office of the Vice
lahat
President.
na all the names in those book or the supposed ledger, those are all aliases. So,
Yes.
di ba, what we have to look at is yung sinasabing in the absence, well, we talked to Attorney Salvador Panelo, he says na wala naman daw talagang declaration dapat because it should be private, but meron talagang required na book na i-present to certain agencies to see kung sino ba ito.
COA
Kasi
yata yun
kung gano'n, it defeats the purpose, how do you audit?
Oo.
How do you audit all these confidential funds?
O, kasi they were stating the fact kasi yung provision daw sa law na although you have to document yung release ng budget mo, yung allocations mo for the confidential funds, yung pagbibigay ng names, addresses, is not required anymore because of the confidentiality and the safety of the informant, etc. Pero yun nga, dahil nga base dun sa sinasabi din ni Attorney Nery Colmenares when we interviewed him before here sa News and Views, sabi niya, there's a certain provision sa COA dun sa ating batas na nagsasabi na parang may certain logbook doon na dapat doon nila nilalagay yung totoong ano.
Kasi yung spirit, yung mandate ng COA is to audit every single peso na ginagagastos ng Philippine government. So, we understand na, okay, yung initial audit na ibibigay mo sa COA, ito ang pangalan. Ngayon, kung piatos to at hiningi ng COA, kunyari may flag. Ang flag naman, hindi ibig sabihin may anomalya ka agad. It's just that, teka lang, may kulang kang document. Kung nag-flag daw ang COA, then you can present a ledger that supports, ito yung mga names behind the pseudonyms, di ba? Yung mga aliases. Ang problema, wala daw yung mapakitang ledger.
Hindi, pero yun yung sinasabi, di ba? Aliases, like yung mga Mary Grace Piatos, and other names na na-encounter natin during the course of this discussion, pinapacheck palagi sa Congress, remember the hearings, sa NBI, sa Philippine Statistics Authority. Bakit mo pa i-check? Alam mo naman, aliases yun. Talaga hindi lalabas yun doon.
So, yun ang, honestly, agree ako doon, hindi ko maintindihan that they wasted time verifying sa PSA kung may piatos. Siguro, ano lang yan, it's a matter of procedure lang na, okay, iklaro na natin lahat to. Meron bang existing na ganito, di ba? Wala. Okay. Now, let's go. Sino ba talaga ito? Parang it's a matter of procedure for them, di ba? Wala rin naman backup documents to say kung sino ito. Dapat meron lang yung OVP mismo backup. Kahit for their consumption lang, and they could show it in executive session sa mga kongresista. Ito pero wag natin ilabas. Executive session to, confidential to Ito yung mga tunay na tao behind those. Pag gano'n na pinakita mo sa congressman, tapos ang usapan. Kasi makikita nila, existing Di ba? Alright, let's move on. Members and representatives of One Filipinos Worldwide or OFW party list filed a petition for certiorari and a temporary restraining order at the Supreme Court to halt the proclamation of winning party list groups in the recent midterm polls. The group is seeking a recomputation of seat allocation and a review of the party list system, which they claim favors the powerful. Meanwhile, Attorney Harold Respicio, Vice Mayor-elect of Reyna Mercedes, Isabela, has also turned to the Supreme Court. He is requesting a TTRO to stop COMELEC from suspending his proclamation following a disqualification case accusing him of spreading false election information.
Sana po, wala po tayong tinatawag na double counting of votes. Kasi ang nangyayari po sa ballot formula, kapag naka 2% ka, may guaranteed seat ka. Pero, halimbawa, nakakuha ka pa ng, sa second round ng ballot formula, gagamitin uli yung nakuha mong boto para makapag-add pa ng additional seats. Kailangan po, kapag naka 2% ka na, ibabawas mo na yon sa susunod na allocation para po yung mga nakakuha na mabababang boto sa baba, mabigyan pa sila ng mga additional seats.
Para ako'y pigilan nila sa aking pagkadeklara, kailangan nilang magbigay ng napakabigat na ebidensya para patunayan na ang sinasabi nilang fake news ay totoo nga ang fake news.
The House of Representatives Committee on Basic Education and Culture is set to hold a hearing today regarding the strengthened senior high school programs. For updates, we have mobile journalist Arles de los Santos.
Magandang umaga, Angela at Diego. Nandito tayo ngayon sa House of Representatives kung saan ilang minuto na lamang ay magsisimula na ang hearing dito patungkol sa Strengthened Senior High School Program para sa 2025 to 2026. Nandito na ang ilan sa ating mga panauhin, pangungunahan ito ni Representative Roman Romulo mula Pasig City. Sa kailang mga panayam, binigyan diin ni Representative Romulo na kailangan daw ng magpagpapalakas dito sa SHS program na ito dahil mula nang ipasa ito noong 2013 ay patuloy daw ang mga hamon na hinarap ng pagsasaayos sa education natin na ito. Nandyan ang kakulangan sa mga learning materials, Gayon na rin ang pagkakaroon ng kadagdagan na paggastos sa mga magulang na nag-aaral ng senior high school. Pero mas pinapalala ito ng in-employment o hindi daw na-employ pagkalabas ng senior high school ang ilan sa mga estudyante na ito. Ngayon ay patuloy ang pagdating ng ilan pa sa ating mga kasama at ito ay magsisimula ngayong 10 a.m. na mismo.
Okay, Arles, sino ba yung mga inaasahan natin na mga resource speakers or person dyan sa hearing?
Ngayon kasi Angela, magkakaroon daw ng pagsilip dahil ito ay pagpapatuloy ng hearing, Kaya darating dyan ang TESDA, ang EDCOM, gayon na din ang National Employment Authority, Skills Authority, para daw mas masala at mas masilip ang mga ibibigay na learning materials dahil mula May 25 hanggang June 6 ay magkakaroon ng training para sa mga guro na mag-handle ng Strengthened Senior High School Program para sa 2025 to 2026.
Alright, maraming salamat Arles De Los Santos, ang ating mobile journalist reporting live from the House of Representatives. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The Transportation Department vows to implement measures to ease the inconvenience caused by the EDSA Rehabilitation. Here's the report.
It looked like there was a motorcade along Commonwealth Avenue in Quezon City on Tuesday morning. No one was swerving, and even if traffic slow, drivers stayed on their lanes, especially the motorcycle riders. Even cars did not dare cross the lane that was intended for motorcycles. Motorists are more cautious than ever. That's because disregarding traffic signs comes with a 1,000 peso fine. Now that the no-contact apprehension policy is back, at least along EDSA, a mere CCTV footage could hold you liable. On day 1 of NCAP's implementation, May 26, MMDA recorded more than 1,000 traffic violators. But no letters have been sent to violators yet because all information had to undergo manual verification.
Pag-validate, dadaan na naman po siya sa another approval, isang supervisor to see kung tama ang citation na nilagay and corresponding penalty. After that, saka lang po pipirmahan at ipapadala yung notice of violation.
The MMDA is also planning to procure additional cameras with artificial intelligence capability for the NCAP.
Para po mas malawak na yung range kasi there are still some areas na wala ko pang CCTV at hindi pa ma-monitor. So, doon po namin i-augment yung mga traffic enforcers namin.
The NCAP, of course, is just one scheme in force ahead of the EDSA Rehabilitation Project. But in an interview with A Big Story, Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon said the rehabilitation of EDSA alone will not solve Metro Manila's traffic woes. He stressed that improving mass transportation remains the long-term solution.
We never said that the EDSA rebuild will solve traffic and will magically remove traffic from EDSA. That's not what we're saying, no? And because that's just not true. What will solve traffic is when we finish the subway, when we finish all the other mass transport systems.
Dizon vowed to order the deployment of more buses and trains during the EDSA rehabilitation.
Right now, the maximum capacity that we feel the busway can accommodate, especially with the rebuild, of roughly about 550 buses. So right now we are at 400. We aim to add 150 more para umabot po tayo ng 550.
Ayun na, before we talk about yung sa NCAP further, konti lang, di ba? Reminder sa mga motorista also, di ba? I'm happy na sa Commonwealth, yung talagang the motorist.
Ang babae.
No, they stayed in line. They stayed in line. But, reminder lang sa kanila na pag broken po ang line along yung motor lane nyo, you're supposed to, yan, titignan nyo, may broken lines. You're supposed to allow passenger vehicles to turn into the lane pag broken so that they could go to the other side kung saan sila mag-exit. Kasi some of the motorists, yung mga motorcycle riders, hindi lahat, akala nila bawal ang kotse at sa kanila lang yan. No, kahit minsan magsisignal ka, ayaw nila ikaw ipadaanin.
Kasi we need to go to the other side.
Oo, basta broken ang line sa motorcycle lane, you're allowed to swerve, not swerve, turn into the lane and exit on the other side na broken. Yun ang reminder lang sa kanila.
Right, so what's gonna happen sa NCAP, diba? So there will be CCTV cameras enforced by AI-generated system. Pero there will be human intervention pa
Meron
rin.
din.
So if you go to MMDA Command Center, you will see yung mga taga-MMDA doon nakatingin doon sa mga computer nila at tinitingnan nga doon yung mga violations na itatala ng CCTV cameras, no? So they will verify it. So if it's verified, then they will have to issue yung notice of violation. Pero yun nga yung nagiging problema doon kasi mabagal. It's going to be slow because they're going to be using snail mail.
Yes, and hindi rin tayo fully AI compatible lahat ng cameras. So in other words, yung sinasabi mo may human intervention, may AI decision making. Ang sinasabi ng ibang motorist na may meme na naglalabas, malas mo nahuli ka. Kasi if you see that video that we showed kanina sa MMDA Command Center, yan. You see that control person is looking at two windows with multiple, about at least 15 to 20 screens. So that means 20 screens, one person. So mamimili ka kung ano yung mga violation na meron ka. What if nakatingin ka sa left, sa kabila meron right, hinuli mo yung isa, ang term nila, malas mo nahuli ka.
Oo, kaya yung sinasabi nila, marami pa rin mga, alam mo, divided yung nation nga pagdating dito kasi maraming mga concerns. Kaya si Representative Rog Gutierrez, if I'm not mistaken, magkakaroon sila ng hearing about it, probe, diba, dito sa NCAP, to make sure yung mga concerns ng mga tao such as dapat ba, diba, dapat ba yung mga roads and traffic signages are clear, tapos yung mga transparent ba yung ownership processes at saka yung mga system na gagamitin. I will respect due process to ensure fairness. No?
That's right.
Alright, so meanwhile, Dole has advised employers to consult with their workers on how to address the possible effects of the EDSA rehabilitation efforts. The agency said the decision for a firm to have a work from home scheme is up to the employers. However, such orders should still be subject to reason and the relevant laws. Heavy traffic is anticipated to hit motorists with EDSA construction efforts expected to stretch from 2025 to 2027.
Liberal Party Acting President Erin Tanyada expressed surprise over Deputy Speaker J.J. Suarez's claim that 4 LP members have joined the House Supermajority Coalition. Tanyada clarified that the party has not yet decided its political alignment for the 20th Congress. He added they are awaiting the return of Senator-elect Kiko Pangilinan from the United States before making any decisions. Tanyada also said they are unaware of which 4 LP members supposedly joined the Supermajority Coalition.
And now to talk more about this, we have Liberal Party Acting President Attorney Erin Tanyada. Good morning and thank you for joining us again here on News and Views. The last time pala is brunch.
Yeah, the last time it was brunch, Attorney Erin, and now you're with us again, News and Views. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Angela. Good morning, Diego, and of course to all your viewers.
Well, of course, sabi nila kung yung issue about yung may 4 members daw, although you haven't confirmed it, but were there initial talks that happened na wala pang decision?
Well, we actually had a meeting a week ago, and we mentioned we had a good discussion among the congressmen-elect that would be sitting in the 20th Congress. The questions raised from do we vote as a bloc, which bloc will we join, what are the issues that we are going to consider as non-negotiable, and etc. And at that point, the discussions of the group were animated, and we decided to table the issue. I was just facilitating the meeting as acting president, and everyone said that it is better also to wait for the return of Senator-elect Kiko Pangilinan, who is the chairman of the party, and find out his thoughts and what his position will be also vis-a-vis the Senate leadership fight for the incoming 20th Congress.
Sa tingin niyo po ba, Attorney Erin, na mangyayari pa rin yung parang before nangyari kay Congresswoman na Stella Kimbo na at the end of the day, pinayagan niya siya nagkaroon ng sarili niyang, kumbaga, ang tawag doon na pagsang-ayon sa isang posisyon, ano, sa isang issue na taliwas doon sa issue or sa policy ng inyong party?
Well, again, this will be discussed by the members of the LP contingent on how they will approach this matter. We have to consider that there's one on his third term, two on his second term, and the remaining three are basically returning members of the House and one party list. So they will have to decide what would be for the best interest of the party, number one, and the best interest for their districts. Kaya it is a decision that is not easy to make.
Yes.
And so we have to wait, no, and consult also our chairman, Senator-elect Kiko Pangilinan, who I am sure is going through also.
Nako.
Yes,
So,
attorney.
nawawala.
Si attorney. Ayan.
Yan.
Am I back? Yes.
Okay na, attorney. Go ahead.
Undergoing serious reflection on how the Senate presidency will look like for the 20th Congress.
I'd like to ask you about that. No? Kasi you're saying you're waiting for, Senator-elect Kiko Pangilinan. So is it tantamount to saying kung ano yung hulma or magiging look ng partido nyo sa Senado will be quite similar to what you will have in Congress. So ang question dito is, pag sa Congress side, does it mean it's a choice between voting for the current speaker again or possibly deciding on a new speaker? Is that also in the books?
Well, again, the way the elections in the House happens, it is not necessary that if you run for speaker or you vote for speaker, you're if you vote for the speaker, you're with the majority.
That's right.
If you run against the speaker, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are or immediately with the minority.
Okay.
Iba yung katangian sa House eh. And then after determining who the speaker is, the House, those who would join the minority or want to join the minority will elect among themselves who the minority leader will be. So I would have rather liked it that whoever challenges the speaker for the top post automatically becomes a minority leader.
That's right.
Hindi ganun eh. You could say it is a weird concept now in the House that those who signified that they would join the minority, that's the only time that they will elect who the minority leader will be. And I'd like to say that sometimes there are people from the majority who are told or who are asked to join the minority for a few months so that they can get their minority a friendly minority leader elected. Kaya yun yung
Masalimuot eh.
yun yung pinag-iisipan kung paano ang magiging papel ng LP. Kaya maraming permutations na kailangan tignan.
But I'd like to add to that, no. So you mentioned yung scenario. So based on what you said, so it's also in the cards, in the books na pwedeng wala kayo sa majority, minority, pwedeng may independent block kayo altogether.
Well, there has been already an experience in the House where the LP was part of the independent minority led by then Congressman EDSA Lagman.
Yes.
So it's nothing new, but again, we will have to consult and find out ano ba talaga ang magiging itsura ng House this coming 20th Congress. Ang mahirap kasi nagmamadali tayong lahat. There's still 3 session days left.
Yes.
June 3, June 4 for the 19th Congress to officially close its books, no? And maybe we can start talking on who will be speaker or who will be minority leader pagkatapos ng matapos na yung 19th Congress.
Okay. So sinabi po ng LP na possible yung mga coalition sa supermajority, pero depending po yan sa mga issue-based, no? Sabi niyo po yun. So can you enumerate to us ano po yung mga issues na possibly na po pwede niyo pong suportahan sa majority, and ano po yung mga issues na non-negotiable?
Well, of course, we have to look again at the budget. No, we've seen what happened to the 2025 budget. We've seen the subsidy of the PhilHealth removed, and again, there are moves to minimize the coverage or lessen the amount of those people who would be covered by the Universal Health Care Law. There is a rush, no, to amend that law, the Universal Healthcare Law, before Congress ends. No, the 19th Congress ends in June 6. Hopefully, that will not happen. Now, again, if there's a move to amend the Universal Healthcare Law, then titignan namin yan dahil importante at pinapaniwala namin ang kalusugan ay karapatan ng lahat, lalo-lalo na yung mga mahihirap, kaya maingat kami sa anuman ang magiging amendment sa Universal Healthcare Law.
Ayun. Well, taking this opportunity na rin to ask you, sanay kasi ako kung Erin tawagin siguro. Well, since you have experience naman po dun sa mga impeachment trial, yung legality of the impeachment trial. Kasi we had Attorney Salvador Rapanelo over the other day.
And he stopped short of saying dead in the water.
Dead in the water na daw yung impeachment trial because of the legality issues, walang continuing body. Your thoughts on that po?
Well, they can always raise those questions to the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court does not issue any temporary restraining order, then the trial may continue. So, as of today, there is no temporary restraining order issued by the Supreme Court. The June 2 calling by Senate President Cheese Escudero will proceed, no? And then after that, when the 20th Congress begins, and if there is still no temporary restraining order issued by the Supreme Court, then trial will resume, will start forthwith.
Pero attorney, kasi parang ang sinabi ni Senate President Cheese Escudero, once they have convened into an impeachment court, kahit mag-shift ka daw into another Congress, if a TRO is issued, sabi niya the Senate doesn't really need to heed to that TRO. Now, is that also your interpretation?
That I will leave that to the Supreme Court because there are cases in the Supreme Court, cases decided by the Supreme Court where they intervene. No? If you remember the impeachment of Justice Davide.
Yes.
It never went to trial because the Supreme Court intervened. So I don't know if the statement of Cheese will hold water, and if they would want to how would you say it, not follow the orders of the Supreme Court, then there might be a constitutional crisis, no? So we will have to see. We will have to see because there was that experience during the Davide impeachment that the Supreme Court intervened.
Well, yung on the matter naman po yung si Senator or ngayon Congresswoman-electa Laila De Lima na being invited as one of part of the prosecution panel. We haven't heard from her since po yung nangyari dun sa may parang sa Supreme Court, yung sa Regional Trial Court yung kanyang kaso. How is she? Meron po ba kayong information regarding her, and ready na po ba siya maging part ng prosecution panel if ever?
Well, I think she has answered already the call of the Speaker, both Congresswoman-elect Laila and Congressman Cheljok, no? But again, for the proceedings on June 2, they are not yet considered elected members of the 20th Congress. So in my opinion, this is my humble opinion, they should not be present in whatever proceedings that will happen in the Senate that's called by the 19th Congress.
All right. Do you have any questions? None. All right. Thank you for joining us today, Attorney Erin Tanyada, Acting President of Liberal Party. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jegwa. Thank you, Angela.
All right, former Negros Oriental Representative Aries Teves was reportedly detained by immigration police in Timor-Leste. Teves' lawyer, Attorney Ferdinand Topacio, said the former lawmaker was taken from his residence Tuesday night. Topacio also alleged that no warrant or written authority was shown during the detention. Teves' son, Axel, earlier described the incident as kidnapping and said his father had been abused. Meanwhile, the Philippine Department of Justice said it's monitoring the developments closely.
Lawyer Princess Abante has been named a spokesperson of the House of Representatives, the first non-lawmaker to hold the post since EDSA 1986. She is the daughter of outgoing Manila Representative Benny Abante. But more than that, the lawyer recently went viral for her strongly worded tirade against Vice President Sara Duterte. In a rally before the elections, Attorney Abante defended her father from the VP's supposed disrespectful comments. Abante said her role covers both the 19th and 20th Congresses.
Ayaw talaga natin ng fake news, no? Kaya kailangan mas maging maayos yung mga pagpapaliwanag natin ng mga polisiya na binabalangkas ng Kongreso ngayon.
Don't go away because we're not done yet. Please stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views on One News. President Bongbong Marcos firmly dismisses calls for his resignation, stating that leaving his position and evading challenges are not part of his character. Here's the report.
I will resign?
Yeah, that's what they want.
Ba't ko gagawin nyo? At wala sa ugali ko yung tinatakbuhan ng problema. So, what good will that do?
That was President Bongbong Marcos's clear and direct response to critics, demanding that he step down from office. His statement follows remarks from former Executive Secretary Atty. Vic Rodriguez, who argued that cabinet courtesy resignations are unnecessary because the real issue lies with the president himself. But President Marcos clarified that his call for courtesy resignations was not for show.
We are looking at the problem deeply. You know, siguro by now, you know, I don't do things pang optics. If there is a problem, I like to fix it. So that's what we are doing. So expect us to be doing a rigorous performance review.
While no official cabinet reshuffle has been announced, the president confirmed he had chosen the next chief of the Philippine National Police. The new appointee will replace General Romel Marbil, who is set to retire on June 7.
I would rather not use this forum to announce that. I think I should talk to them first because the official decision has not been made. They should hear whoever it is should hear about it first from me, not
Meanwhile, the president appeared visibly irritated when asked about the upcoming impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. He said he does not believe this will lead to political chaos.
How many times do I have to say that? I didn't want impeachment. Lahat ng kakampi ko sa Kongreso hindi nag-file ng impeachment complaint. Yung mga nag-file ng impeachment complaint, hindi mo masasabing kaya kong utusan o pagsabihan na ito yung gagawin mo.
Notably, it was his own son, Ilocos Representative Sandro Marcos, who was the first to sign the fourth impeachment complaint against the vice president, which has been submitted to the Senate.
The legislators, the senators, and the House are going to decide on how to handle it. I don't think that they've made any decisions yet in that regard. So let's let it's in there. It's there. It's nasa kanila yan.
Two Chinese Coast Guard vessels shadows Ate Nito's civilian mission. CCG vessels with bow numbers 3306 and 21549 tailed the TS Capitan Felix Oca as it sailed towards Pag-asa Island in the West Philippine Sea. Philippine vessels escorting the civilian ship issued radio challenges to the Chinese vessels. In its third civilian mission, atin ito targets to reach Pag-asa Island and hold a concert there.
Binabantayan natin kung ano yung ginagawa nila. So far naman, shadowing pa lang.
Pagka nagkaroon na ng sign ng mga dangerous maneuvering sila, that's the time na ako na tayo, na abort the mission ako.
Now let's get some insights from maritime security expert Ray Powell. Ray, good morning. Thank you for joining us here on News and Views.
Thanks, Diego. Thanks, Angela. How are you?
Fine. Ray, I'd like to start off talking about the May 21 incident, which you have called something as an escalation. Although we're used to water cannon attacks, but you have said this exposes, exact words was the failure of ambiguity as a deterrence. And the first one was you're saying that we have to take a look at the messaging of the U.S. from their side. What do you mean by that?
So we have in the United States for decades had a kind of a policy of ambiguity when it came to all of the Spratly Archipelago. And so we just didn't want to take a position on anyone's sovereignty. And I think that was an appropriate approach back when there was some hope of maintaining the status quo.
Yeah.
But China has thoroughly upended the status quo and has become much more aggressive. And so I think it's time for the United States to take something of a stand for its Philippine ally.
So what kind of a stand are you looking at? What kind of messaging should the U.S. then give towards China for them to at least de-escalate their aggressive stance?
Well, specifically with regard to Pag-asa Island, what I recommended was that the U.S. recognize the Philippines' administrative control over Pag-asa. So that's the same way that we look at, for example, the Senkaku Islands, which are uninhabited off Japan. We say, okay, Japan has administrative control, even though China contests the sovereignty. And that seems like a reasonable step to take for the United States to say, look, this has got a civilian population. Yeah. It's the only Spratly Island that has one. It's been in the Philippine hands for 5 decades. I think it's safe to say the Philippines has administrative control. That doesn't seem like a big stretch to me.
Yeah. I want to talk about the code of conduct, which is being discussed right now at the ASEAN. What do you think about some critics would say that a code of conduct won't solve the South China Sea issues based on 2 concerns? First issue would be the state of the talk themselves, where trust between parties is plainly lacking. Second concern would be the quality of the outcome of the code of conduct, in which they think whether China will be willing to sign a legally binding agreement.
Yeah, I'm one of those critics. So I don't think that China would sign a legally binding agreement unless China was the legal binder. They want to be the ones who actually are the arbiter of truth or of sovereignty. So, I don't see China signing up to anything that the other claimant states could stand. So I've never thought that we've been playing this game for, decades now.
That's right,
I think it's time to sort of admit that it's not going to happen. And frankly, China has not abided by the 2002 Declaration of the Conduct of Parties in the South China Sea. It has denied freedom of navigation. It unnecessarily escalated conflict. It has not gone to peaceful arbitration. So I think that China you can't build a code of conduct on bad faith, and China has clearly exercised bad faith.
I think, Ray, we in the Philippines here are looking for really answers to find ways of really de-escalating China's aggressive behavior. And it's been suggested by, I think, you and several others also that we should have a joint civic mission with the U.S. to at least show China that, hey, our big brother is with us in this issue while stopping short of declaring war.
Yeah, so the United States has programs that involve medical and engineering civic action programs where we could go out and we could, do dental work and build school, or repair buildings and all those kinds of things out at Pag-asa. I think it's more than past time that the U.S. show the flag alongside our Philippine ally on Pag-asa and demonstrate that we are one team, one fight, as it were. If China wants to complain about the fact that we bring out doctors and engineers, then they can do that. But they complain about everything, so why should we care?
Why do you think there's some kind of apprehension on both sides from doing this joint mission?
Yeah, so I think one of the problems that we have is we on the American side are still stuck a little bit in the past, where we're trying to maintain a status quo that doesn't exist anymore. We're worried about what Taiwan and Vietnam will think, because they also claim Pagasa and a lot of the other Spratly Islands. But, they'll complain and they'll get over it. Right now, I think that the existential threat is clearly Chinese expansionism. And so I think this is a reasonable step. Administrative control, recognizing administrative control is a reasonable step. Sending out a medical civic action program is a reasonable step, just to show that the United States is committed to its ally.
But do you believe that, but taking back my question to the ongoing ASEAN summit, do you believe that ASEAN has done enough in de-escalating the situation in the South China Sea?
No, but I don't think it can. I mean, I'm with the former Singaporean diplomat Bilahari Kausikan, who famously said that ASEAN is not a horse, it's a cow. And so if you're trying to make it run in a horse race, you're going to be disappointed. And so if you try to make ASEAN solve these intractable security problems, it's just going to be disappointing. ASEAN's not built for it. So a cow is a useful animal. They can do lots of things with a cow. Just don't ask it to be a horse.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd like to, there's some apprehension you mentioned about the U.S. side, but if, hypothetically, if this were a mission to be together with, let's say, let's put in France, let's put in Germany, let's put in Australia and the U.S., a joint civic mission among partners, like 5 nations, do you think now this lessens the tension between the U.S., Philippines, and China, geopolitical interplay?
Well, first, I'm not sure we'd get those other players. I mean, it would be hard. Right now, it seems hard enough to get the U.S. To sign up to it, or even the U.S. and the Philippines. But even if we did, no, it wouldn't lessen the tension. But, the tension is not going to be less unless the Philippines backs off. And I don't think the Philippines wants to back off, because backing off generally means yielding to China more of what China wants and less of what the Philippines wants. So, unfortunately, the compromises that China has in mind all involve the Philippines compromising and and China remaining the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, finally, what are your thoughts on the ongoing Atenito Coalition civilian mission? They've already been in their 3rd mission. What do you think about it? Is
the concert? Yeah, it's a concert.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's great. I've told many people, and in fact, I've written this. My father was involved in the civil rights protests in the United States, which used a tactic called nonviolent direct action. And it's the same kind of thing used by Martin Luther King and Mahatma Gandhi. Basically, it's a long-term strategy of demonstrating the rightness of your cause, peaceful demonstrations, those kinds of things. And what it's meant to do is it's meant to, over a long period of time, help an oppressed group overcome an oppressor by just essentially wearing them down. And so this, I think, is a great thing. In fact, I talked to Rafaela David just a little while ago, and I told her that I think that they're doing a wonderful thing, and I'm a big admirer.
And maybe this would be a common thing, not only with the Philippines, but involving other nations, like a joint ASEAN concert within the area. Do you think that would work?
I think if you're waiting for the ASEANs to show up, I think you might be waiting a very long time.
I'd like to ask, Ray, what leverage, we're just out of answers, what leverage can the Philippines use to at least get an even conversation with China on the table? Let's face it, at this point, I don't see any leverage, but what can we leverage?
Well, I mean, so you've managed to get a deal done around Ayungin and Shoal, right? And the deal seems to have been that China will be able to claim that the Philippines is abiding by all of its terms, and the Philippines is able to deny that it's doing any of those things, and both nations are going to let that happen. So I think this is kind of the way things are going to go. I don't think you're going to be able to lessen the tension without giving up your sovereignty.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think, as I said, I think this is a long-term struggle. When you're dealing with an imperialist force, an occupation force, when I've said before that I believe that the West Philippine Sea is essentially a maritime occupation by an imperialist force, you have to outlast it. That's
Yeah.
the way you defeat an imperialist. And so, I mean, over time, the imperialist wonders why. I mean, heck, the United States was an imperialist in the Philippines once, and the Philippines outlasted us. Eventually, the United States said, "Why are we here? Why are we trying to claim this place all the way across the water that we, don't need to have? And we don't want to be that kind of country anyway." And so, what you're hoping is not that they're going to decide next year or in 5 years, but maybe in 10 or 15 or 20 years, they'll begin to say, this is not in China's national interest to keep oppressing its neighbors in the way we are. We have bigger problems.
So it's like you're saying, as of this point, we just have to be consistent in the way we conduct our missions and not back down.
Consistent, patient, and you know what? You've been doing great. The Philippines has been doing very, very well. The Transparency Initiative has been effective in uniting the Philippine people, in helping the Philippines to commit to capacity building. It's helped unite a lot of other countries. The number of countries who now affirm the arbitral ruling has multiplied. And so I think that the Philippines is actually on quite a good trajectory. It just can look, when you look out at it and you see all these Chinese ships, it can seem very frustrating. But, I think actually the Philippines is doing quite well.
All right. Thank you so much for your time, maritime security expert Ray Powell. Thanks for joining us.
Great to see you. Thanks.
In other news, the number of HIV cases in the Philippines continues to climb. Among the people dealing with this is a 7-year-old kid. Para bigyan ng mukha ang Balita, Mobile Journal, Jas Paredes.
Patuloy ang pagtaas ng mga kaso ng HIV sa bansa. At ang sakit na yan, walang pinipiling edad.
Palabiro, bibo at masiyahin. Yan daw ang pagkakakilala ng concerned citizen sa apo ng kanyang kapitbahay. Ngunit ngayong taon lamang nalungkot siyang malaman na ang bibong bata ay may iniindang sakit. Noong una, inakalang leukemia ang sakit nito.
Yun, ang sabi ng sister ko na, alam mo ba, hindi pala leukemia yung sakit ng bata, iba't ibang sakit na pala. Then, yun nga po, sinabi niya na yung bata is nag-positive nga po siya sa HIV. And parang doon nag-start yung sinabi ko sa sarili ko na gusto kong tulungan yung bata. Deserve nung bata na maramdaman na hindi dapat pandirian yung sakit niya. Kasi yun yung iniisip ng bata.
Ang tanging kasama ng bata ay ang kanyang lolo dahil namayapa na ang kanyang mga magulang. Wala rin siyang mga kapatid. Dahil sa kondisyon nito, ilag na rin daw ang bata na makipaglaro sa kanyang mga kaibigan dahil iniisip niyang nakakahawa ang kanyang sakit. Hindi rin siya pumapasok sa eskwelahan dahil sa iba pang komplikasyon.
Hindi po nag-aaral si bukod sa sakit niya na HIV, may sakit din po kasi si tubig sa puso, pneumonia, TB, and hindi ko pa alam yung isa. Pero yun nga po, naghalo-halo na yung sakit ng bata.
Ngayon, lumalaki pa ang tiyan ng bata at mabilis na ring mapagod. Ngunit patuloy ang kanyang gamutan at may mga nagpaabot na rin sa kanya ng tulong. Ang kasong ito, isa lamang sa bilang ng lubulubong kaso ng HIV sa bansa. Base sa first quarter ng HIV and AIDS Surveillance of the Philippines o HASP report, higit 5,000 kaso ng HIV ang naitala mula Enero hanggang Marso ngayong 2025. 50% mas mataas kaysa sa nakaraang taon. Samantala, kabilang naman ang ating batang nakilala sa 30 kaso ngayong quarter ng mga nasa edad 15 pababa. Mas mataas ito kumpara ng doble noong 2024 ng kaparehong panahon. Base naman sa datos, pinakamalaking porsyento ng edad na may HIV ay 25 hanggang 34. Merong halos 2,400 cases o 47% ng kabuuang bilang ng mga kaso. Ang concerned citizen na nakausap ko, ginagawa raw ang kanyang makakaya upang matulungan at pasahin ang bata.
O sige, if ayaw mo makipaghalubilo sa ibang bata, sumama ka sa akin, alis tayong dalawa, kumain na lang tayo sa labas, tapos kung gusto mo maglaro tayo. Kasi kahit sabihin mo hindi mo ka mag-anak yung tao or hindi mo siya kadugo, andun pa rin, alam mo yung nandun pa rin na deserve ng bata tulungan. Kasi mabuting bata yung bata. And hindi siya makulit. Sobrang bibo niya, sobrang sweet niya, and sobrang totoo niyang bata.
Hindi biro ang sakit na HIV. Kaya naman maliban sa pag-alaga, mahalaga rin ang pag-unawa para sa mga apektado nito. Mobile Journal, Jas Paredes po, hatid ang mukha ng balita.
May saludo ako kay ma'am ha for doing that. Uy, reminder lang.
Nakita ko yan kasi sa social media the other day. May mga humingi ng tulong, nagtulong-tulong yung ibang mga netizens.
For the kid.
For the kid.
Uy, pero reminder sa mga tao ha, ang HIV is no longer like it was. If with proper treatment nga and proper medication, sometimes nagiging undetectable na hindi ka na nakakahawa. Hindi na siya parang noon. Huwag lang hayaan yung HIV maging AIDS, full-blown AIDS. Yun ang ibang usapan. Pero kaya nga sinasabi nila, di ba, those who are at risk, magpa-check daw sila lagi. Because pag HIV pa yan, may gamot. Tsaka wag mag-stigma because...
Yes. Kaya active yung mga advocates natin yung no discrimination sa mga persons living with HIV.
Oo, I mean, di ba, nangyayari na di ba, why discriminate pa di magtulungan na lang. Di ba? You've seen a number of retrovirals naman that suppress the virus na to a point na it's undetectable already. Even couples nga na may isang HIV partner, pwede pang magsipin, magtalik, basta improper medication, di ba? Ayun, and thank you pala for joining us. Tapos na tayo,
yes.
Ang bilis. Wednesday ba ngayon? Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Wednesday pa lang tayo. So many issues pa this coming week. Please join us all the time as we talk about a lot of things from impeachment to the NCAP. Nako, NCAP.
EDSA rebuild.
Oy, mag-behave kayo ha, may NCAP. Oo, mahirap na. Alright, and that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angelo Castro.
And I'm Angelo Castro III. We are One News.
All sides, all the time.